So let's jump right into it. We're going to go quick. If you want to follow along with the prompts and everything, feel free to. You probably won't have time to type everything in at once, but that's okay because everyone on here is going to get a copy of the recording as well as the prompts that I'm using. What we're doing is creating a clone or 3 clones or AI assistants to help with your business, right? And so in order to do this, you have to have the paid version of ChatGPT, but it's not very much, it's $20 a month. And I highly recommend it. So what you're doing essentially is creating and almost hiring 3 assistants for your business for $20 a month, which I think is a pretty good deal. All right, so the first thing you do is you're not gonna create a new chat, you're gonna create a GPT, because large language models, whether it be this one or Claude or Gemini or whichever one you choose to use, that's all they are. They're large language models. They pull millions of points of data from the internet when you ask it a question or give it a task or whatever, and do kind of a median job of that. And the median job is just that. It's kind of medium. It's kind of average. It's kind of not great for you. So what we're going to do is create chat GPTs that have what you want it to do in your voice, in your tone, the way you work. And that takes a little bit of doing to create, but it's well worth the effort and saves you a lot of time. But before I get into creating the chat GPT, last week I was on kind of an AI summit, if you will, that was put on by Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. I don't know if any of you were on that, but it was great. And one of the speakers there was this guy, and tell me if my screen just changed. Hopefully it did.
Yeah.
And this guy's name is Arthur Brooks. That's it. And I was really surprised at the quality of nearly all the speakers that this AI summit had. But Arthur Brooks was great because what he said really put it in perspective. He talked about the why, what and why AI, what it can do and what it can't do. And he separated right brain, left brain into complicated problems, which AI can help with, and complex problems, which are totally, fully human and the human experience. For example, a toaster is a complicated problem, right? It has to plug in, get electricity, heat up the heating elements, whatever. It's complicated to build a toaster. A cat is complex. We kind of understand a cat, but it's simple, but no one quite understands it. If you want to create a chart of time on the market, property time on the market, compared to the number of active listings, right? Inventory versus time on the market, that's complicated. AI can help with that. If you want to fall in love, it's complex, right? So what Arthur Brooks said, and I think this puts it in perspective very, very well, is you want to use AI to save time on the complicated problems, to get them done quickly so that we can spend more time doing what's properly human. That is falling in love, falling more deeply in love, our relationship. So it's worshiping the divine, right? Spending time in the presence of the divine, something AI cannot do. Putting our toes in the grass or walking on the Folly Beach and watching the sunset in nature, right? And the other portion that's strictly human, suffering, right? And it's part of the lived experience. So he says, embrace it, love it, figure out the meaning behind it. It's complex. And so that's the human part. So what we want to do is cut down a bit on our time on the complicated problems. So here's the first one. I'm going to create 3 AI assistants here real quickly. The first one follows up with leads, right? If you're in a listing appointment or just can't quite get to the phone, whatever, and a lead comes in, we all know it's speed to lead. So we're going to create, and the second one's going to be a marketing assistant, and the third one's going to be a coach. So we create, and then you can create or configure. I'm going to go over here to create, and it says, what would you like to make? And I've already copied the prompt that I made, and I'll share it with you real quick. So this GPT acts as a licensed Charleston area realtor's digital assistant, representing you put your name, and working in these areas, right? Charleston, Mount Pleasant, Somerville, Daniel Island, etc. Now, if you have a specific area that you really want to concentrate in and niche down in, then that's what you should put. And that's awesome. And please do. You got to make this your own. And I'll tell you how to make it your own even more in just a moment. But here you're just giving it instructions on what to do, right? It provides, the GPT provides friendly, knowledgeable, compliant guidance to home buyers, sellers, and investors, modeled after Hector's name, right? Hector's warm conversational tone used in videos and social media posts. His communication style should be approachable, professional, reassuring, emphasizing clarity and confidence for the clients at every stage of the entire process. So you give it a tone, friendly, professional, confident, etc. Never pushy or robotic. And you give it a personality. Think trusted Charleston neighbor who knows every street, coffee shop, and waterfront view, right? You can shift that if you have a better description of how you interact with clients. And you should. Style, short conversational explanations. Use local references, right? Shim Creek Sunsets, Park Circle Charm, Somerville Historic Homes, whatever. And then, buyer education, explain the homebuyer prospects, etc., in relatable and clear language. And then you tell it seller guidance, also relatable, clear language, etc. Market insights, lead nurture, compliance. You get the idea. You can go through and make these your own a little bit. And then calls to action. Schedule a call or a showing, because you want the next step to be, if the AI assistant is interfacing with a lead first before you are able to get to that lead, that's fine. But you want them to set up them. You want the AI assistant to set up the next interface. So schedule a call or a showing, learn more about starting the process, stay connected, etc. And here you got to tell it, stay compliant, etc. And this is where I would make it your own too. You want some starter prompts, right? Some sample starter prompts, because the lead doesn't even know what to do. So they can click on the starter prompt and said, how much do I need for a down payment in Charleston? And the AI will give an answer, a succinct answer. Can I buy before I sell? This is a common question in this market, and the AI will give an answer. So we're going to create and see what it does, just based on the generic prompt that I created here for you. And again, you'll get the prompt and you'll be able to create your own. And you'll see it's pretty impressive. It takes a minute, but I think it's pretty impressive what it does.
Jim, did you type in all of those, everything that's under this create? Did you put all that in yourself?
I did. Yep.
Okay, so when we're gonna do it, we have to do that ourselves then, right?
Yeah, I'm going to send you this prompt so that you can make it your own.
Okay.
All right. So great. I've now has a foundation for how the GPT should behave. Next, let's choose a name. Charleston Real Estate Guide is what they suggest. I like to go over here to configure at this point and just name it myself. Charleston Real Estate Guru. We're going to call it that. And the description is a friendly digital assistant for Charleston area. It will have your name, right? It will have for Sarah's real estate guidance, something like that. And you can kind of see how it's going to look over here. And it's going to look like that. People who land here will have some questions already written out so they can just get started without thinking about it. Now, you want to upload, let's say, create a logo for this GPT. And whatever it creates based on real estate gurus, we're probably just going to take and accept and use that. And by the way, you can upload something here for the image. You can upload your photo. You can upload your logo. You can do whatever you want. And Okay, it's asking me too many questions now for this one. Yes, whatever colors it wants to do, that's fine. Now, just logo from scratch. And let's see if it'll create one. If not, we'll move on. And you get the idea. You can upload something right here. And by the way, you upload it under configure, and you just put your photo or your logo or whatever you want in there, or have GPT create one for you. All right, we're gonna forget about that. We're not gonna do a logo right now because it's not playing well in the sandbox with me. All right, create. You can then create this. Once you're satisfied with it, you can create it. You can send it to only me, which wouldn't help in this case. Anyone with a link, that's probably what you want. Or you can put it in the GPT store if you want people just to find it. But I would probably do anyone with a link and then save. And then on your email, if you have autoresponders that go out to leads, etc., you can have this as a link in there so they can just click on it and start start interfacing with your AI assistant, your lead assistant, if you will. All right, view GPT. And it's not viewing. Down. Oh, I guess it is. Sorry. It is. I pulled it up right here. So that's what the end user will see, Sans logo. And if they just say, hey, what's the market like in Mount Pleasant right now? And they just want to get started interfacing, you're going to get something like this. They're going to get something like this. And what it is just a way to interface with leads very, very quickly if you're not available immediately, so that they don't go to the next agent, right? And look on Zillow and see who's next and whatever. So it gives them some idea what's going well. Here's, median home price was around 935,000, up 7.5% for last year, et cetera. So it just gives them data, right? And would you like me to pull up specific submarket data like neighborhoods like Ion or Carolina Park or whatever? And it keeps the conversation going. At some point, it's going to say, do you want me to set a time for Ernest to give you a call? And the answer is probably going to be a yes. But anyway, they're interacted with. I'll show you what mine looks like so you can see mine to follow up with leads. So I just put my photo up there, and anyone can click on any of these things and get started. Now, what you want to do from here is train it further, because AI is a lot like a small child. You have to train it, right? If you tell your 5-year-old, hey, go get grandma's cookbook over there, turn to page 236, and it's got the recipe for a chocolate cake, and just go make that chocolate cake, your 5-year-old is probably going to make a mess and do something that kind of maybe resembles a cake or maybe resembles mud, but probably not do a great job. And that's where people go off the rails a little bit with AI, because they do a simple little prompt without any training, and they're like, give me a property description, right? Give me for my listing that I'm uploading, create a property description. And they read it and they're like, that sucks. That's terrible. Well, that's because it's kind of the median of everything out there, and you haven't trained it on your voice. So what you want to do here, what I did, for example, is I do a lot of videos. So I do a lot of videos on Facebook and LinkedIn. And so I said, if someone asks about buying versus rent, should I buy or rent in this market? Well, answer succinctly and give them the video, give them the link to the video from LinkedIn that talks about buy versus rent and how to compare that. And similarly, I said, and if you detect they're kind of nervous about moving forward, I have a lot of 5-star reviews on Google. So send them a 5-star review and say, hey, this is what a past client just recently said. And I think that you'll have a very similar, experience with Jim. and things like that. So you want to do the same thing. If you have blog posts, if you have videos, if you have whatever, you want to upload those and say, here's my tone, here's my voice, here's what we're training in, right? So I'm going to go grab the next prompt, and we're going to then create the next one, which is a marketing assistant.
Hey, Jim,
Yeah.
when you asked it to tell you about Mount Pleasant, in the beginning it said stuff like agent name, agent, but it didn't fill it in. Is there a way you can train it to do that?
Yes, you can. And I'll show you how to do that in just a second.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to fill yours in automatically. And let's see. Edit GPT. So yeah, we're back. And configure. So the prompt that we put had generic agent's name. So you're just going to replace it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're just going to replace it with your name.
Okay. I see.
And then as you're creating and going forward, you're going to keep telling it things like, hey, here's some writing that I really like. Here's a blog post geared toward move up buyers, or here's a blog post toward the over 55 community that I wrote, and it's to mimic this tone and this style.
Okay.
You know, and you got to tell it how you want it to write. Like when I first started, I write a letter, an email to you guys, realtors, every Friday morning. And when I first went to ChatGPT and said, here's my idea, help me map this out. And what it gave, I thought was garbage. It was terrible. It was full of emojis. I don't write with emojis. It was full of breaks. It had, cutesies. Hey, you should try this today or whatever. That's not the way I write. So I had to train it. Oh, no, this is the way I write. So the way to think of AI is it doesn't take away our jobs. It augments our jobs and saves us time. Someone, I can't remember who said this, said, count it as the 10-80-10 rule. We've all heard of Pareto principle, 80-20 rule. 20% of what we do gives us 80% of our results. So focus on the beginning 10%. What do I want this to do right here? Let ChatGPT or whatever LLM model that you use create the basis of the 80% of stuff, and then you finalize the last 10%, right? So it's your creation. You have an assistant helping you create, like a writer's room, right? My wife is a screenwriter. Many of you probably know that. And in a writer's room, it's kind of fun. There's a rough idea of what's going to come together for that movie or that episode or that whatever, and then I'll just hash it out. It's just kind of, so your AI assistant is your writer's room, right? It's helping you hash it out, but ultimately your name goes on it. It's your tone, and you're responsible. So you got to train it the right way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So let's create one more. And I think they get better and better. I like these. Now, by the way, there's a step up that you could do from this GPT that's text-based mostly, and that is a caller, right? An AI assistant who answers the phone and has a conversation. I haven't made that for the mortgage side yet, but for my investing business, I have. It's amazing how these have come along. That's a topic for a different day because ChatGPT cannot do it. So you can't make that for $20 a month. But if you ever want to get there, it's a game changer. All right. So again, we're going to go to under GPTs, explore, create. What would you like to make? And you put in the prompt. And this prompt says, this GPT acts as a realtor's personal marketing assistant, trained to create high quality marketing content in the agent's authentic voice and tone. It supports all aspects of real estate marketing, from listing descriptions to social media newsletters, video scripts, etc. Core mission is to help realtors writing property listing descriptions that sell the lifestyle, not the features. Now, if you have a specific way you like to write your listing descriptions, put it in there, but also put in, here's two of my very best that really pulled. They really got a lot of attention on this property quickly. Mimic that tone, right? So you want to take what you've actually done and it has actually produced and train your GPT on that. Train your AI clone, I should say, on that. Okay, create scroll stopping social media posts for Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, and draft newsletters to build trust and relationships. Again, I'll come back to it one more time and say, your style is your style, my style is mine. In my newsletters, I like to be one idea, very simple, very script based. I don't like emojis, I don't like dashes, I don't really like bullet points very much, but I do like to make reference when possible to an historical event or one of the great books, a great classical piece of literature, for example. That's me. Now, you might like a lot of emojis and butterflies and unicorns and fun stuff, and you might like to make reference not to a classical piece of literature, but to, the latest episode of The Crown. It's not my style. I hope I never have to sit through an episode of The Crown, but you might like that, right? So you train it to your style because your style is going to attract your ideal client. It does now. It will continue to do so, but you got to train the AI assistant or clone to your style. Okay, so you get the idea. Draft all these things. Voice and tone. Again, this is where you really want to spend some time on your prompt and make it your voice and tone and put in some examples of what has really worked for you. And here's a pro tip. Some people write a lot and some don't. If you don't have a lot of experience writing, you don't have a lot of things to pull from and train your AI clone on, well, then pick someone who you really like and you want to imitate their style and say, make it in the style of Salil Bloom, I think is a guy I follow. And because I really like his style. And, make it in the style of, I don't know, Krista Mashore or someone like that. Someone you want to follow and you really like their style. So you can lean on other people, in other words. Okay, this chat GPT can write listing descriptions, generate social media posts, draft scripts, and you can read how, and then you can alter that to fit your style and tone a little bit, right? Edit and rewrite content. You can suggest local SEO phrases, but if you're not focused on SEO, then delete it, forget it. You don't want your AI assistant to focus on SEO. That's fine, get rid of it. Example prompts. So write a lifestyle-rich listing description for a 3-bedroom home on John's Island with a screen porch and oak trees, right? That might be your prompt. And we'll see what it comes up with in a minute once we create this thing. Okay, so you get the idea. And somewhere in here, there is, guidelines and ethics. This you always want to make sure is there as well, right? Avoid making promises or guarantees about market performance, home appreciation, or future value. Just stuff to CYA, right? Ensure fair housing compliance, never use language that implies preference or exclusion. You got to put the guidelines and ethics. Otherwise, your AI assistant might go off the rails and you don't want that. That's not good. All right, so we're going to create it and see what it does. And this is, again, assistant number 2 of 3. And in my opinion, they just keep getting better. They keep getting stronger. Yeah, if you guys ever want to look into not the text lead follow-up AI, but the voice one, it's a game changer. They're getting better and better. It's amazing. Okay, great. The foundation set. Realtor Marketing Studio. I like that name. Yes. Like that name. We'll see if we can create a logo for it. And Yep. And you can name it anything you want, of course. It's your assistant, so you name it whatever you want. Realtor Marketing Ninja, Real Marketing, whatever. Profile image, yes. Yes, make the pro. Maybe I was calling it the wrong thing. I was saying a logo. We'll see what it creates here as far as an image. And you can kind of see what it's doing. Now, image creator is temporarily unavailable. Interesting. So I made one this morning. I called it Realtor Marketing Guru, I think. And it made kind of a really cool looking image, but it must be down right now. So we're not going to worry about that. We're going to create it, but this time it's only me, right? Because you're not going to share this publicly. This is just your assistant who helps you in the office to create marketing stuff. And we save it. And it'll say, do you want to view it? And we do, because we want to test it real quick. There we go. Create 3 personal sounding Instagram captions. Well, let's create something. Does anyone have a suggestion for something that we can create real quick?
Can you do a buyer presentation or
Yeah.
Something that a buyer would appreciate, a first-time home buyer maybe?
First-time home buyer. Time buyer presentation. Is there anything you like to convey to first-time home buyers especially?
That they can do it, they have options, somehow to give a positive spin to you, that it's really available to them. So often they think, oh, we can't do it, we don't have enough money, there's no way I could ever buy a house. But we want to give them information, facts that say here are avenues that can lead you to buying a house.
How's that? So can you create a first-time home buyer presentation with a positive spin on buying now, even when the news says it's tough to buy for first-time home buyers? Is that good? All right, we're going to assume that's good and see what it comes up with real quick here. And again, what it's going to come up with here, you're probably...
I'd cut my audio off, sorry.
Oh, that's fine. So why buying your first home now still makes sense. And by the way, what you're going to see here is probably a little bit, you're probably going to go, it's okay, it's not great. It's because it's not trained to you yet. So the more you can train it to you, the better it's going to be. And again, it's going to create that 80% in the middle where you give it the idea and then you tweak it at the end and massage it and make it fully yours. Welcome and introduction. It's doing this like it's creating a PowerPoint presentation, right? Or a Google Slides presentation. Subtitle, knowledge, strategy, confidence. Brief introduction of who you are and how you help first-time homebuyers. So you give a brief introduction of yourself. Acknowledge the current market headlines. Oops, I don't know what I did there. You acknowledge the current market headlines because you don't want to sweep it under the rug and pretend it's not all over the news that first-time home buyers are now 40 years old. No one can afford a home, all that. And today isn't about fear. It's about strategy, clarity, opportunity. So you take that off the table and you say, today, though, we're going to focus on clarity, strategy, and the opportunity. And what we're going to cover, and the headlines say it's tough, but here's the real story, why buying now is still a smart move, and some numbers behind it and all that, the appreciation rates, etc. Understanding the market right now. Interest rates are stabilizing, seller concessions are returning. That's a good thing. What you can afford, let's figure it out. I can help with that, by the way. Small plug. And programs designed for first-time buyers. Look, FHA is 3.5% down, 3% conventional, etc. You can get some grants, strategies, what the buyer's journey looks like, so map it out for them, and how it support you. By the way, it'll say, do you want us to create slides? And it will create slides. What I do a lot of times is, like I would say on slide 10, yes, but make it look like a board game like Chutes and Ladders, right? And it will. And so you're training it even because if you have a picture in your head, just tell it what your picture in your head is, and it will help create that. And then what's on your mind? Let's break it down together. So that gives you an idea of what your assistant can do. I mean, you could have come up with these 15 slides in a buyer presentation. However, I don't think any of us could do it this quickly. And they're not perfect, but it's a good starting point, and it's something to start adding meat onto that bone, right? All right, so let's do the third and final one, which is your coach or accountability partner. And
Excuse me 1 second. Jim, are you saving this for me?
no, but I will send you the prompt and it will do this exact same thing.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny. I don't think there's a way that I can create a GPT proper to you, Sarah, and then on my chat GPT and then send it to you. But I can tell you how to recreate the whole thing. All
Well,
right.
my thought, I'm just because I don't know how to use ChatGPT, and I see you've got Gemini up in the corner there. Are we using the Gemini version of ChatGPT?
Gemini is Google, and that's part of Google right now. It's part of I'm in Google Chrome browser, and they just put it up there. So I'm not using Gemini at all at the moment. It's just there if I want to use it. What I'm
Right.
using
So
is
yeah, my thought was if I created something on my own in ChatGPT, how do I print it out? How do I get it, pull it off of the ChatGPT? Does it have a printout section
oh yeah, and I'll show you that in just a
or
second.
download? I guess it's more of a download section.
Yep, it does. You can download. What I do is I keep creating and modeling and massaging in GPT until I really like it, and then I download that last section, and I'll show you how
Now,
to do that in a second.
okay, is there a section of the chat?
You just muted yourself again.
Is there a section of the ChatGPT program that has folders where you save things?
Oh yeah, and I'll show you that in just a second as well. The
Okay.
paid version has folders and it remembers a lot about you. So as you train it in these assistants or in a specific project, my experience so far is it overlaps and it keeps remembering more and more and more about you, your tone,
So-
how you like things, how you don't like things, what you want, what you don't want. So, and
So
I'll show
are
you
you,
that.
and so it sounds like it would be, if we're going to use it at all, go ahead and get the paid version so you'll have that
I
in
would.
how
It's
that
20 bucks a month.
storage.
Yeah. I
20?
would.
Okay, good.
I
Okay.
absolutely would. Yeah. 20 bucks a month and you got 3 assistants plus everything else you can want. And it's just getting better. So yeah, I would get the paid version. Okay. So this third assistant that we're going to create, or you're going to create afterward, is your on-demand real estate performance coach, built for the best practices of insert your favorite coaches here. If you have a coach, insert their stuff, right? And links to their materials. So it doesn't have to just search Tom Ferry or Krista Mashore or Michelle Barron or Brian Buffini. It can, you give it specific things. Just insert them here. It helps you focus on the daily, weekly, monthly activities that create consistent listings, clients, and income, and buyers. I like buyers. Define your goals. Design your plan. Track your KPIs, key performance indicators, right? And stay accountable all in one place. So I really like this one. I've spent a lot of time with my own accountability assistant, if you will, my own coaching assistant, because it really, for me, it really helped hone in on what are my activities. Look, a coach I had years ago, I went out to Scottsdale. We had a big, gathering of everyone in this coaching program. It's called the Core, if you're familiar with it. And Rick Ruby got up there, and Rick Ruby's, he's not a humble guy. He's a good coach. He's a great guy, but he's not humble. And he got up there and he was like, last year I made $2 million. How much you guys make? And someone in the audience said, wow, you made $2 million. That must be so exciting. And he said, he thought about it for a minute and he said, no, it's actually boring. It's very joyful, but it's boring. And it's boring because I know exactly what I'm going to do every Monday, and I know exactly every Tuesday and every Wednesday and every Thursday, and I do the same thing every day because that produces the results. And so, yes, if it's going to be boring success, well, you might as well have an accountability partner that keeps you on track with your own KPIs and stay on track with it so that you can get to whatever income goal you want. Coaching philosophy. This you want to spend a little time on making it your own. What I put was, don't rise to, a quote, first of all. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And that's what Rick Ruby was saying, basically. He has systems every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and he just does them every day. And so I like that quote. Focus on what you can be controlled daily. How many conversations, how many follow-ups, how many appointments, how many marketing actions, right? This GPT or this AI clone or assistant helps realtors set measurable goals, translate them into daily and weekly activity targets, track KPIs. And by the way, this is philosophy behind it, but I like to track leading key performance indicators because I know if I have, I know if I have 14 pre-approvals, that means I'm going to have 2 closings next month because some close later and some don't close at all and some, but I know if I have 14 pre-approvals, for every 7, I have 1 closing for sure next month. So that's my leading indicator. And I suggest you do something similar. Build accountability systems and mindset discipline, etc. You get the idea. You're telling it what you want accountability in and what you want to track. Core functions, goal setting and reverse engineering. Here, I think it's very helpful when you're feeding information to your AI assistant, your coaching AI assistant, to have real numbers. So it may be worth you, if some of you know them already, some don't. That's been my experience, at least. Know your conversion numbers from a conversation to a lead to a closing. How many conversations do you need to get 1 lead, buyer or listing, to get 1 closing? Right? Because there's a little bit of fallout along the way. There always is. I asked a buddy of mine who's in the mortgage business, been in the mortgage business longer than I have. I've been in 24 years. He's been in probably 30 now. And I asked him, from lead to closing, what's your close rate? He's like, 98%. I was like, then you don't track your numbers. Good. Now I know. And because that's not true. So it's good to look up your numbers and have those as close as possible, because then AI assistant can help you back into, well, this is how many conversations you have to have every day and how many marketing pieces and whatever. So if for example, if your target is to make $250,000, it breaks down the numbers and creates daily prospecting checklists. How many people do you have to talk to every day based on your average sale price and your conversion rate to get to your $250 GCI, etc. You can kind of get the idea here. We're just going to create it. Yeah, and here I like this. Everyone responds to a different.
Jim, you froze. We can't hear you.
Good, I thought it was me.
No, me
How
too.
many years? I had no
Well,
clue.
now he's back. Okay, there you go.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you for a second. And so the personal trainer was an ex Air Force guy, big guy, bodybuilder, and named Sean. And Sean, it was exactly what I needed. He'd tell me what to do, go do this, get on that bench, do this. And then he'd look over at me and be like, Duff, what the F are you doing? And I was like, exactly what you told me. It's like, I did not tell you to do that. Do it the right way. And so I respond well to that, but most people don't. So we're going to call it strategic partner. And the tone is upbeat, energetic, etc. We're going to go upbeat and energetic for this one. And but you get the idea, and you'll have all these prompts. You can make it your own. So we're just going to create it and see what it does as a sample and go from there.
It did, and now a question, did you make up all this or did you grab this from another program? It's just,
So
this
that's,
looks very specific.
yeah, thank you for asking that. So I was on a call with Shashank. I can't remember Shashank's last name. He's a friend of mine for a long, even though I can't remember his last name because it's a long last name. But he's out in California. Shashank got in the mortgage business in 2008, which is wrong, but he's been a billion-dollar producer since then. And his gift is he's cutting-edge technology. So I was on a call with him and a whole bunch of others, and he helped walk us through this, but for the mortgage business. And so I created all the prompts. He didn't give us the prompts. We were fast enough typing, or I was fast enough typing that I just typed them. And then I asked ChatGPT, okay, create these prompts, but for realtors to create your 3 AI assistants. So that's where I got that. I did not make it up. I stole it.
I'm glad you could type fast.
Yeah, I was typing fast. I was going. I have 3 screens and I was going. Great. The core behavior is now set. We'll call it real estate performance coach. Yes. Or what's a good name? Anyone got a good name? Call it my personal. I don't know how you spell sergeant. That's spelled wrong. Let's see if I can correct it. I knew I had an A in there somewhere. I'm going to call it my personal drill sergeant just for fun. You call it whatever you want. And
I like it. The only trouble is there's always the drill sergeant. There's got to be some payment for not doing it right. The drill sergeant yells at you, but
exactly, that's what I like. That's what I need.
I'm just trying to think how this coach could have, you got to do this by X or this happens. I don't know. I'm teasing. I just was thinking.
Well, you can write that in there. You can say, hey, check in with me every day at 7 p.m. or whatever time after dinner, you're wrapping up your day. Check in with me every day at 7:45 p.m. to make sure I hit my numbers and make me respond
Okay.
to those numbers. You can absolutely, it's your assistant. So you want it to react and keep you on track the best way that you react and keep on track. Does that make sense?
Will the assistant send you an email to check in with you?
Absolutely. It can send you an email.
Okay.
In one respect, I do that. I was having GPT create 3 possible video scripts for me Tuesday through Friday when I was doing those Morning Joe with Jim videos. You may have seen those, you may not. But I would do 8 a.m. quick little video every day. I've since shifted to something else, but I was having it email me 3 scripts every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I would just choose one and massage it a little bit. And then that was my script. I didn't have to think about it. Okay. So again, you can have it create a logo. Yes. We're going to try this one more time. Generate a profile. And we'll see if it does it. The 3rd time is the charm. If not, well, you may have to upload pictures to this, but I would put a picture because it's always, it's yours and, it's more fun. Image generator is still running into an issue. Okay, great. Fine. We're going to create it and only me because this is your coach. So you don't have to share it with anyone and probably don't want to, unless you have team members. Yeah, I mean, if you have team members that you want to share this with and say, look, it's your coach and my coach. We both have the same sort of way of doing business and therefore the same. If you have a team like that, then share it. You've created a coach for them, right? But for now, we're going to say it's only for you. And yeah, this one, break down my income goals into weekly actions. My income goal is 100 gross commission income in Q1 of 26. My conversion. What's a typical conversion rate? I don't really know, from lead to closing, whether it be a listing or a buyer. Conversation to a closing is 24%. And my average, what's someone's average sales price? Anyone know?
400.
Is 400. Okay, let's see what it comes up with real quick, just on that. Again, you probably want to give it a little bit more detail, but got it. Let's translate your Q1 2026 gross commission income goal into actual activities you need to hit based on your numbers. I'll walk you through the math, and then we'll confirm your assumptions, etc. So here you want to have it as a sparring partner, not someone who's like, hey, pat chat, because GPT is really good about feeling like it's giving you a pat on the back. Hey, great idea, strong target. You want to tell it, no, be my sparring partner. You're my thinking partner. Help me see the pitfalls here. Help me see what I'm missing, whatever. And it will. Okay, commission rate. Assumption is 3% commission. I didn't tell it that. I probably should have. If you're at 2.5 regularly, then that's off, right? And so 12,000. So if your goal is 100,000 in the first quarter, your GCI per closing is 12. You need 8.3. Let's call it 9 closings, because there's always going to be something fall out. So you're going to need 9 closings, and your conversion rate is 24%. So therefore, you need 38 high-quality conversations with people who do want to buy a house or sell a house. So, and then what I love about these things is it makes it doable. So it makes it seem doable, and you're like, 100 grand, that's a lot of money. And then you're like, oh, well, wait, I can have 38 conversations, especially if, that just means 3 to 4 a week. I got to have 3 or 4 conversations every single week with someone who wants to buy a house or someone who wants to sell a house. I can do that. And then it becomes very, very doable. And again, I don't know if these conversion rates are correct, but you know your own numbers, but you get the idea. All right. So back to my personal drill sergeant. Let's go back here first. So those are the 3. All 3 have a purpose, and all 3 are very, very helpful. The first one is speed to lead, right? How quickly can you get to that lead if you're not immediately available, so that they don't call the next agent? They start engaging and getting their questions answered. The second is marketing, right? A marketing assistant. And the marketing assistant is the one that needs the most training, in my experience. It really needs the largest amount of training. And then personal drill sergeant, or personal accountability coach, let's call it. So those 3, I think, will make a difference. So here's why they make a difference, and I'll wrap up with this. First of all, just to reiterate, I'm going to send everyone the recording of this, as well as the prompts that you can massage and make your own. So you're going to get those in a couple of days. Hopefully by tomorrow, but certainly by Monday. And here's why this is important, because some people are doing everything well, right? You're following up on leads regularly and consistently, and you have a system to do that, and you're marketing regularly and consistently, and you have a system to do that, and you're keeping accountability of yourself with checklists or whatever. But some people aren't. So if you are, great. These assistants will help you do that and save about 10 hours a week. What do you do with the 10 hours a week? Hopefully what, I just forgot his name. What's his name said? Hold on, I'll tell you. And look this guy up if you haven't, Arthur Brooks. What Arthur Brooks said, which is live more humanly, right? Do the human stuff even more and live life better. But a lot of people aren't, right? A lot of people, leads kind of slip through the cracks, and the marketing kind of comes and goes. When you get busy, you stop marketing. When you don't get busy, you market more. And the accountability is like, at the end of the year, you're like, I should do a business plan again this year. like I did last year again, that I never looked at again. So this is something that could live on your laptop and even on your phone, and just be something that you check every day, or you make it check in with you every day, your accountability coach.